Hi, I'm Gabriella Jones and this is my song Midnight Drive. What kind of astrology will it take me to see the warning signs? What kind of man can only love me with another on his mind? You know I'm good, I'm really good, you know I'd never stay. Go on and take me on your midnight drives. Go on and tell me you love me. Go on and take me on your midnight drives and say there's no one above me. And then you turn right around, said I just can't get out. She's digging her nails and I've got no cloud, no more midnight drives until you show me you love me. No, 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 no. Some kind of apology from you to me might save this heart of mine. No man could ever love me with another on his mind. You know I'm good, I'm really good, you know I never stay. Go on and take me on your midnight drives. Go on and tell me you love me. Go on and take me on your midnight drives and say there's no one above me. And then you turn right around, said I just can't get out. She's digging her nails and I've got no cloud, no more midnight drives until you show me you love me. No, 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 no. And I can't believe you'd mess around with a love like you'd never found, so I'm gonna leave. It's the things you do, no, they won't keep me around. No more midnight drives until you show me you love me. Go on and take me on your midnight drives and say there's no one above me. And then you turned right around, said I just can't get out. She's digging her nails and I've got no cloud, no more midnight drives until you show me you love me. No, 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 no. There'll be no midnight drives until you show me you love me. No, 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 oh. Yeah.
Welcome back to Andertons TV. I've got a special guest today. Gabriella Jones has driven down from the Black Country with her friend John Connon, which is how I met Gabby. So, great little opening tune there. Is that an original one of your own?
Yep, so that's my song called Midnight Drive, about never getting in a car with anyone after midnight. And it's a bit of a love song about kind of finding what you deserve and then saying, you know what, we're not going to, it's a bit of a metaphor, we're not going to take this drive if you're not going to give me what I need. Do you know what I mean?
Deep, many layers.
Yeah, having some standards.
Yeah, I mean, you could take that superficially of, hey kids, don't get in a car with a stranger after midnight. Yeah, don't do it. Or you could take it on one of the many other levels about terrible relationships that you need to try and avoid. Anyway, look, great song.
Thank you.
Obviously, you've been making music for, I mean, it's 10 years or more now, isn't it?
A long time, yeah. So I started
really kind of gigging in public when I was about 14.
Wow.
I used to play at the Station pub in Sutton Coldfield for people that know. And then there was this place I think it was in Cannock called Takaroo, and I remember I'd go there on a school night on a Tuesday, and it was like really rock and roll. Like the PA was on beer crates, and the guy that did the sound for Trapeze back in the day. And I remember thinking, oh my God, we've got to drive all this way, but the sound was like the best sound I'd ever heard in my life. So I started playing at 14. Then when I was 16, I was really lucky. I got the chance to play at the Hard Rock Calling Festival in Hyde Park, and it was the Bon Jovi year. Wow. And I did Wireless and the Isle of Wight Festival. So I was really, really lucky that early on I had these kind of mad experiences. But yeah, it was really fun. I've got a lot of tales for my grandkids one day.
I'm interested in that period because, you know, sort of, I guess from probably the 2000 onwards, maybe more so after, even in that sort of 10 or 15 years that you've been making music, it's the challenge to actually make a living out of just making music. In fact, let's touch on that a bit later, because I know I did want to talk about that, but tell me first about what sort of drew you into playing the guitar?
So I was chatting to Digital John, I can't say it as good as you guys do it, on the way down. I remember I was in the car with my dad and I heard the live version of UFO Doctor Doctor, you know, with the piano intro. Yeah. And I remember thinking, wow, this is really, really cool. And I'd always written songs, like right from when I was about 7, I used to like rework people's songs that I could hear, and I had like a little recorder system that I'd made up. And then I think he was like, right, you need something to play in order to properly write. So I heard that, and then I was like, right, I'm going to start writing on guitar. And then at the time, I guess music was very much like, there was the rock element, but there was also your divas, like your Beyonce, Christina Aguilera, the poppy stuff. So I kind of blended the Sabbath and UFO and stuff that my parents were listening to, my dad was listening to. My mom will kill me if she says that. She was into like Sade and like the like sultry, sassy soul stuff. But yeah, I kind of blended that, and yeah, that's kind of how I started writing.
Was there a role model? Were you looking at, I don't know, I'm trying to think of, Sheryl Crow, or, women that you would typically see with a guitar around them as opposed to just singing, or were you not drawn?
It was quite hard to find people. I really, really liked Free. And Paul Rogers, I realise he is a man. But that's really what I was drawn to. It was like a vocal that I felt sounded like warm and cozy to me, so I used to listen to a lot of Paul Rogers. And then we were just talking about Orianthe. She was really one of the few guitarists, female guitarists that I saw. I remember when she brought out According to You and like thrashing that out in my bedroom and thinking it was so cool. But like I say, at the time it was a lot of people doing dance routines, a lot of divas, and you didn't really see many women stood on stage just powerfully owning it. So I think it's cool now that there's a lot more to aspire to.
Yeah, for sure. Well, look, so let's go back to that. Take me through that sort of, your career, initially as a sort of an aspiring musician, and then obviously for periods of times where it's been a full-time thing, and then how you've had to intertwine other opportunities in, because I sort of, for me, in the great pyramid of making music, there's always going to be somebody that's discovered as Taylor Swift or Harry Styles, whatever, and it's instantly catapulted into just, billions of pounds. But that next layer down, which I think is much more realistic to aspire to, is now about making music as part of as part of your way of paying to get by. And you've obviously done that quite successfully as well, with I know some of the other stuff that you're involved in. So let's talk about that now. I suppose firstly, how did you feel? Was there a realization at some point where you just sort of went, I am going to need to do something else to pay the rent?
Yeah, well, I mean, luckily, so my family all are quite business minded and have always had a really good work ethic. And I think if you're someone, like we were talking about when we had you on the BBC show, if you can see opportunities, you realise that there's probably more opportunities if you look at a couple different things. So I did go to university, and I did get this, always like really like turns people off, it's so not rock and roll. I got my English literature degree as a backup because my parents were like, right, you need to go to uni, which was a smart move. And in the background of the work that I do that's music related, I do have a PR business, and a lot of the time it does thread into similar things, like working with cool like costume designers for rock shows and things like that. So there's what I would say to people: if you've got a portfolio of jobs, as long as you're passionate about it and you can kind of thread it into where your passion is, like 9 times out of 10, I'll always lead it back to music, because I think that, like, I'm just drawn to that.
Yeah. So how did your connect? Because I know you know the guys at Gibson fairly well.
Yes.
Was that through your PR? Is that another one of these kind of interwoven things where the PR?
Well, so I had this when I was 16. So I
Did
played
you?
this at the Wireless Festival, and I think Slash was playing that year. I was on a cool kind of smaller stage, and I remember it was just me and a drummer. We did a White Stripes style thing, and I remember being nervous because I knew Pavarotti's vocal coach was watching. When does that ever happen? And but yeah, this became a bit of like the focal point. And I remember when the weekend was over, on the website, have a little play.
I'm just seeing. Oh, I can't tell how old this is because it's custom shops, and so it's a 1959 reissue in a very un-1959 colour. That's
But I
super
remember
cool.
this became the highlight of the weekend. So when they put the photos up from Wireless, this was the picture, and everyone was shocked. They were like, "Oh wow, like that's on the main homepage of the website." And I was only on a teeny tiny stage, which should have really been like Bon Jovi or someone else. But yeah, I started a really good relationship with Gibson. David Bauer, who is there, has always been incredibly kind to me, and I think people go, "Oh, do you get given loads of stuff?" And obviously they can, lend you things for shoots and things like that, or shows. But the thing that I really took away from it is he would sit with me sometimes for hours, just being lovely and giving really good, genuine advice. And that's kind of where the idea for the BBC show, the Legends launch, came from, because I thought, wow, like, if everyone had access to this kind of chat, it would be so helpful.
How do you? I probably should have said if you follow me on social media, you might have seen a picture of me with Gabby from
And a Dalek.
January, February time, or whatever this year. Because through John, we were invited to go and be on your radio show at BBC West Midlands, which was very cool. But how do you? Because again, I think you're a real sort of a great example, I think, for any aspiring musician now, of just about sort of taking the opportunities where they come along and not just being sort of fixated that, like, if my music on its own can't make a living, But how did that come off?
Well, I think you're right. I think it's very easy to think that you're only one thing. And because I sang from such a young age, I remember thinking, I only sing. Like, that's the only thing I do. But actually, we all have so many other skills. And my friend had a friend who worked at Brum Radio, and she was leaving. And he said to me, "Oh, I think you'd be really good at this. But obviously, you have to do it for free for a really long time." So luckily, I had another job. But I did do it for 2 years for free. Wow. And then Pete, who was the producer, was like, "Guess what? I'm going to work at the BBC." And I was like, "Pete, wouldn't it be a dream scenario if we worked together at the BBC? I've got this idea for the Legends launch." And he was like, "Pitch it, just see what happens. What's the worst that could happen?" And then a lovely producer said yes, and I was like, "Yay, we got it!" And then the next step was, okay, well, how are we going to get these legends? I've given them this idea. How do we make it
It's
happen?
so brutal, isn't it? My stepmum used to work in radio, and in local radio, not as a DJ, just in behind the scenes. And she said, virtually everyone here, apart from probably the breakfast DJ, is for free.
Yes.
And it's like
to
brutal.
Start, it is.
It's just, and it's like,
Really
I remember once her saying, "Oh, the station's going 24 hours a day now. We're going to play through the night like that." And I'm like, "Oh man, how much you have to pay someone to do the middle of the night?" It's like they're all working for free. It's like they're desperate. But that's a bit like anything in entertainment, isn't it? I know we say all the time, never pay to play, don't gig for don't get sucked into that, it's great exposure for your gig. But it almost feels that there is no other way.
Well, I
it's
think
like
there's
a
a
bit
bit of practice. So I do have exciting news that we are going national with the Legends launch, which is
amazing.
huge. As of very, very recently.
Super amazing.
I know. I think you helped, Lee.
How
Thank
exciting.
you.
Probably not, but.
But I think you do have to prove yourself. And at the time, you're like, "Oh my gosh, like I can't believe like I'm struggling." But then there is a moment, I think, if you put in the work when no one's looking, then, and you're doing something that comes from a good place, hopefully it will be recognised.
Yeah, I suppose that's as much as you don't want to have to accept this, I think if the entertainment business, whether you're acting, musician, DJing, you've just got to put in the hours in the early days and expect nothing back, haven't you? It's a bit brutal.
Keep turning up to the party. I think that's what Steve Jobs said. Just keep turning up.
Oh, wow. Well, let's talk about, before I'm interested in gear. Obviously, we're a predominantly gear show.
Yeah.
But let's just talk a little bit more about musically. What was the last, how much time do you get to spend writing and in the studio nowadays? And, what if someone wants to come and see you live or listen to your music, where would they go?
So my music is on all the usual platforms, on Spotify and things like that. A lot of my time is now spent doing radio and doing the Legends launch and running a business and things like that. But for me, songwriting from a really early age was, regardless of if anyone was going to hear it or not, like I would do it for myself. So I would literally get home from school, 7 years old, and write a song. And now if I've had like a bit of a tough day, or a relationship didn't work out, or whatever it is, obviously you talk to your friends and family, but I do still like pull for the guitar. So I have a Taylor acoustic by my bed and I'm like, okay, let's work this out. And it is a form of therapy, I think, 100%. And then occasionally you fall upon a gem. My dad always calls it, it's like writing another classic again, because he thinks he's writing classics too. I think we all think we're writing classics. And I basically write whenever it comes to me. I know some people can sit down and be like, right, let's write a song today, but I think it has to come from a genuine place. So I'll be writing until I'm 80 and annoying my grandkids with the
So
songs.
here's the $64 million question, right?
I want to get it right for that.
PR business is going great. Radio shows national, and you've got 1 million people a week listening to it. And then someone goes, "Do you want to do the world tour?" But it's like I've got you 100 dates.
Yes.
But they're all 200 or 300 cap clubs. It's like it's not going to make you. It's a sacrifice.
Well,
do you do you know in your mind, do you still take it, or do you just go, I can't?
The thing is, is it one or the other?
Yes, it's give up the radio show, give up the PR business
because
for
I'm
at
such
least
a do
a
it
year.
all. I would try and do it all.
Well,
from
yeah,
the
maybe.
car.
Okay, well, maybe that's allowable nowadays, because I suppose, in fairness, potentially you could, right?
It doesn't do it mobile.
But would you make that sacrifice, even if you could still do it all, but it would mean a huge upheaval to your life? Is that the lure still? Just the shot?
I think it depends what you value. If you're going to go off, right, when I get to the end of my life, I want the memories, then you would definitely take a fab tour, wouldn't you, with hanging out with your friends, the memories have been on stage and all of that. Because I think,
Could be a support tour. So one where it's like it's all about the exposure rather than necessarily.
I think you do have to do some things for the fun, because you only live once. So I would probably take the tour and then come here to get the gear. Probably.
I think, do you know what, that's it. And that, I think, I was really young, like probably 20 or 21, when I just went, I'm just going to do the Andertons thing.
Yeah.
Like I'd already decided that the band was not. So I think different people just have a bug. And I always admire people that just go, I'm going to go for it, because it is a sacrifice, and the odds are that, you'll end up, back where you started. It's a small percentage that, but I that's great. Who would be if it was a support tour, who would be the dream?
Probably who we went to see the other day.
Oh, really?
I didn't get to go with you.
You'd be Madison Cunningham, would you?
Yes, so we saw John Mayer on different nights. It's very sad, because we could have all had a cheeky Nando's before.
Yeah.
But I thought that was such an amazing show. I think someone like that, where it's got like a soul base and the fans are there to really listen to the music, I think that would be
Wasn't she great as well, though?
She was fab. She really held her own.
I'd
it was
not,
really cool.
I remember about 5 years ago, Pete had said, you should listen to this Madison Cunningham album. And I don't know, I did listen to some stuff of hers, and for whatever reason, don't know, maybe it was the timing or the fact it wasn't live or whatever, but the live show, I was like properly blown away. That's all we did.
It was really good.
Drove home and listened to just listen to Madison Cunningham on the radio. Didn't listen to John Mayer, listened to her on the radio all the way home.
That's when you know it's done its job.
Yeah, she was really good. But so there we are. So John,
my love, whenever you're ready, we'll do.
You
our
could do
thing.
that. You could do that, couldn't you? I think acoustic guitar, sing
I
your
think
songs.
it'd be good fun. Do a bit of slow dancing in a burning room. Hop on.
Well,
to
you
that
do
number.
that. You do John Mayer covers on a John Mayer support tour, would you?
I'd be like, come on, let's do a little number. But my friend Ollie is the biggest John Mayer fan ever, and his dream is that we all somehow like hang out and have a jam. So I need to manifest that.
Well.
It maybe through Andertons we can make it happen.
I don't know. I'm
we'll
not
get a
that
silver
well
sky in
connected.
and be like.
So let's talk about gear. Do you think you're a gear junkie, or are you just sort of is a guitar still a bit of a mystery?
I think people would be surprised to know that, because I think people think, oh, like you just do a little bit of, a bit of a fluttery, sparkly moment. The gear is very important to me, especially because I'm not always in a band setup. So I have to rely on myself, my voice, a guitar and a fab amp. So it's generally like a Magnetone Super 15. I've got a good relationship with Rod at Magnetone, they're very kind, and literally just a few, reverb-based pedals, but I do need a bit of a crunch, and I do have a brilliant white Marshall amp actually that was meant for Michael Schenker, that is my like crunch option. So if it's just me alone in like a club somewhere and I'm doing Take Me to the Party and I need like a bit of belly, that's the option. If we're doing like a nice relaxed night, maybe I'm running a jam night, then we'll take like a Blues Deluxe or the Super 15 from Magnetone.
And have you? Well, let's leave guitars to last. Have you done the? Have you had the pedal addiction yet? Are you like? If I go into your room, is it just like a cupboard full of 200 pedals?
You know what?
Or
I'm quite restrained.
Okay.
Like I can do like a little soul food, a little carbon copy, like reverb moment. I like the cathedral pedal. I'll have like a little bit of fuzz when I'm feeling cheeky, but otherwise, like I kind of know what I like in that regard. Like I know what works for me, and like I'm not too wild with the spending on pedals, but I know where to come.
It's a serious addiction when you go down that pedal wheel.
It is.
So, I mean, this is a superb looking guitar.
Isn't it cool?
I'm looking forward to a bit of a play on that. But yeah, tell us about your guitar collection.
So my guitar collection is kind of interspersed and inspired by my family. So my dad is also really, really into Les Pauls. So when it was like, right, what kind of guitar are you going to play? It was like, you play a Les Paul. And I remember being really small and thinking, this is so heavy.
Yeah, it's a big guitar.
But I've just always, I think I had one phase of having like a shell pink Fender Strat. Not brand loyal, but I was only like 7 or something. And then obviously from that point on, it was Les Paul. So I saw this one when I was 16, and then very lucky to have played like a lot of the reissues. There's a really beautiful collector's choice number 30, which is actually also called Gabby, which is really cool.
I remember, did Joe Bonamassa own that? Who owned Gabby? I
think it was his friend that owned it, but I remember him sending me a video of it once, being like, hey Gabby, this is good. And
it has to be done, doesn't it? If someone names a guitar after you.
Yeah, so
imagine
there's
if your
some
name
really
is
cool
actually
ones.
Les Paul. It's just like you'd have to own.
I heard someone say the other day, and this cracked me up, that they didn't realise it was Les Paul and they thought it was French. They thought it was Le Paul.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's because I don't think there's any other guitar.
It's quite unique.
That's had someone's name put on it. Because there's other famous, you think of the Steve Vai gem or the Chet Atkins country gem, all that kind of stuff. But they all had they all had another name that wasn't necessary. But yeah, you're right. And honestly, your friend is absolutely not the only person that thinks this is some sort of French reference to Paul as well. So just Les Pauls. You've never really gone down the route of a Telly or anything else?
Not really.
SGs?
No, I mean, I had like an Explorer for a moment.
Did you?
Just a fun little time.
That's a cool.
And I was chatting to Digital John before about the like Avenged Sevenfold like era of our youth and like the emo days, and they were coming out with some really cool like rigid
Avenged
guitars.
Sevenfold or Sinister Gates kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I was kind of blended into that emo phase, and we were listening to like some like Paramore and Shinedown and things like that. And I think when you're that age, you're quite susceptible to being like, I am buying that new signature guitar, and I'm just going to hop on this hype, whether it's like the Slipknot one or whatever it was, whoever was playing Download that year. So I've dabbled.
I never had you down for a sort of a into that genre of music.
I like everything as long as it's catchy, and what they say, if it moves the needle. Then I'm into it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So, and your acoustic collector, well, you said you got a Taylor. Have you got a couple of acoustics or just the one?
Literally just a Taylor, and when I was really young I played on a little like blue Washburn that I liked, but Taylor's perfect for me. I've got a lot of friends that are trying to turn me on to Martins, so I might invest. But I do love my Taylor. It just sounds like a warm hug.
Do you gravitate towards acoustic for songwriting and then stay electric for live?
Yeah, I always keep an acoustic by the bed. I feel like your best songs happen either in a dream or when you're a bit tired. So all my voice notes are a bit like sleepy. But I think having a good one on hand, and I'm always intrigued when I speak to songwriters, I'm like, what is the guitar that's next to your bed? Because even though it sounds quite intimate, weird, it tells you a lot about the person and what they go for, what they are drawn to the most.
I would love, I don't think I think I'd be in the camp of really feeling like I'd have to force the song out of me.
Have you ever dreamt a song? Have you ever had a dream where you're like playing a gig and there's a song and it's like the equivalent to Here I Go Again, but it's not, and people are like losing their mind?
It'd be a dreadful song. There'd be no one there. That's probably the only dream I've ever had. No, that's again. I don't think I've got that.
But you were in a band. Was it Something Rich?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the
Rich
name
and
of it?
Famous.
Rich and Famous.
Yes, of which we were neither.
I said that like in such a hard phrase to remember. Something and Rich.
And it was a bunch of young guys. It was a covers band that began to introduce original stuff in, and all the songs we ever did that were original were written by the singer. There was never anything collaborative there. But
I have to get in touch with.
Yeah, I kind of. He's Rich, who is the Richard from Rich and Famous. He's never stopped playing. That's what he does for a living. I see him on Facebook from time to time. But no, I think if I remember once chatting. This is a bizarre clang, but I remember chatting. I got quite good friends with Greg Lake in the last few years of his life. He just started coming into Andertons a bit, and I ended up chatting with him. And we had this similar conversation, and he was just like, "No, I'll book us the studio, we'll go in there, and I'll tell you at 9 o'clock in the morning, I'll say, right, we're going to write a song today, Lee, and before we leave that day, we'll have written a song."
Yeah.
And I'm just like, obviously some people can just do that,
I think you can. So I think now,
I never did
if you were like, we are writing a song, 10 out of 10 we could do it.
Yeah.
But I think it has to come from a genuine feeling that someone else can at least if it's kind of like soulful, bluesy kind of stuff. You don't want it to be like, I woke up this morning, guess what happened? Like, it needs to come from like a genuine place. I think so, yeah. So next time you have a big feeling, text
that's
me.
probably probably my one thing. I don't want to be on my deathbed and just go, oh, I never wrote that. I don't care how crap it is. I just want to do one.
Because of Anderton's pull, you could have a room full of incredible songwriters and you could literally have a super group and write a complete
I'm going to try, but
you should.
At some point.
No time like the present.
Well, it's been wonderful having you on. I think we're gonna the song that you did with John at the beginning was obviously excellently performed and executed. This next outro jam may be slightly rough around the edges. I apologise.
That's what we like.
Well, we better go and just run that through once or twice before we record this. But thank you so much for coming down.
Thank you for having me.
You can find Gabby's details in the description below if you want to go and listen to some of her music, see a show. Are you still doing the jam nights and stuff, or is that?
Yeah, so we're looking at moving it to a slightly bigger venue, which is taking a lot of time and energy, but I'm not going to share it now just in case, but it's quite a big prestigious venue, so it's quite a lot of pressure. So I might be getting a little bit of help from some of our guitar friends.
And this is in and around the Birmingham area still?
Yes, yeah. So
there you go.
Stay tuned for that. But obviously the Legends launch is the best place at the minute to find me chatting away with Tito Jackson, Joe Bonamassa, all those.
Yeah, go on, plug. It's a great show. You can find this stuff on BBC West Midlands or BBC Sounds put the shows out and stuff. Again, we'll put links below there. It's very cool. Well, look, it was lovely to see you again.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to this next Jamaroo.
Yes.
Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in another video soon.
I've lost my sweetness, and somehow I'm feeling fine. Close my eyes to things I don't need to see, 'cause you know that love is blind. And I've lost my sweetness, thinking of you all the time. How's your day, babe? Did you get your dreams? 'Cause right now I'm getting mine. And I've lost my sweetness, thinking of you all the time. How's your day, babe? Did you get your dreams? 'Cause right now I'm getting mine. And love is blind. 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 Your love is blind. Love is blind. Love is blind. I've lost my sweetness, and somehow I'm feeling fine. Close my eyes to things I don't need to see, 'cause you know that love is blind. And I've lost my sweetness, thinking of you all the time. How's your day, babe? Did you get your dreams? 'Cause right now I'm getting mine. And I've lost my sweetness, somehow I'm feeling fine. Close my eyes to things I don't need to see, 'cause you know that love is blind. 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 Your 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 love is blind.